What is up, everybody? Welcome back. We are getting towards the end of week number 31. Usually I get these videos out at the beginning of the week, but we're getting towards the weekend here. It is August 1st. Crazy. So we are now like passing into another chapter of the year here, another chapter of the season for most people. We just finished up and recapped a huge July with a lot of triathlon and multi-sport events. Half Ironman, Ironman, really awesome stuff. And now we're going into August, which, looking ahead and catching up with some of the athletes today, not a lot of races, a couple little local things here and there that people are going to be doing through August. But right now we have the athletes are really deep diving into some of their fall A races starting in September. September, October, November is going to be a very, very busy month around here. And I just started making some notes on that for next week's video. So we'll talk about that then. So let's take it back real quick. Keep it in this week. I want to just say welcome back to everybody who's tuning in. Again, this is just quick short video I try and do week to week to try and get some stuff out there to the coaches, athletes, and as well to anybody following in along there. Kind of the in between for my long form content stuff that I do with the podcast, which also look for another episode or two of that coming out in the next week or two. And definitely have a lot of content coming for that in August. That is on the agenda. But some of the notes I made here, which I pop in and talking about tonight, is strength training. Again, hot topic. I know it's hard during the season, during your build. Some people have just finished kind of their A race for the year. They're kind of falling out of a true plan right now as far as building towards a race or a marathon in the fall. They're kind of taking a little bit of a pump in the brakes a little bit, which is nice. But that's a great time to dip back into that strength training a little bit sooner, especially with the runners. Again, the biggest common cause of injury is usually related to running, some type of overuse or something like that. Remember, running can be up to 4 times your body weight load on yourself. So that's pretty crazy. We want to strength train to run, not run to train, if that makes sense. So if you look at strength training as, if I do this and I do this properly, I can be better and have more longevity with my running instead of I'm running to train. Because by just running, you are actually doing a very big injustice to your body because you're really destroying it and beating it down quite a bit, which is fine. Running is great if you have that strong balance and that strong core, the strong muscles, the strong bones, everything we need to have so that we can handle those forces out there. So specifically for the runners that don't have a lot of cross training mixed in, this might be the time to start thinking about some things for the off season and some other things that you can dip into. So again, it's that mentality of doing what needs to be done so that you can keep doing what you really love to do. And as far as the cross training aspects things go, I see it a lot is when really just, the runners out there, those that are just really doing the run distances and training, running most of all their training throughout the year, is when they have a step back or a setback from their running, it hits them harder because they don't have anything else to lean into. As far as myself, I had to take a step back from running recently. I'm working on a quick issue that I have going on, but thankfully, I'm able to lean into a lot of other things that I still can do right now. I can still cycle, which I'm doing a lot more of. The strength training, I'm still able to do most of the things I need to do for strength training, and I'm really leaning into that right now and going into a cycle of that strength training. So to be able to have certain things that you can do when you can't do something else is really a good physical and mental approach, really just the overall balance of your training, which is really nice. So that's something to just consider out there when you're going. I know it's tough right now, especially with people building into their fall, but we could still do bodyweight stuff. We can still do band work. We can just do still some lighter resistance stuff so that we can at least hold on to what we have. And then after those races are done, we can move right into a strength training, which is going to be a huge theme in the off season this year for any of the athletes that are going to be coached through the off season. Is like, we're all going to get stronger this off season. I can guarantee you. We did a pretty good last offseason for those that jumped in, but this offseason we're really going to hit it hard with all of that. This brings up another good point, which kind of brings it into this, is it's like a car, right? Your training, everything you're doing is this vehicle. And we can polish the outside and make it look all good. You could see that car driving down the street and say, wow, man, that thing is really well taken care of. It looks great going down the road, just cruising. You're polishing it every week, keeping it clean. But check under the hood from time to time. You don't know what's going on under the hood of that vehicle, how many check engine lights are on, what the interior looks like. We have to be able to, again, that's great that you polishing this exterior, but what's going on the inside? Like, what are we doing to build that inner part of our training that we need to do? And that includes the mental aspect of, not just the physical aspect of it. Is it can look all well and great on the outside, but then that could be anyway. That could be other people that you're trying to compare yourself to, like out there on Strava. You've seen those people do that. Every post that comes up is that shiny exterior. You're like, man, wow, that person did a 10-mile run and they're super fast. That's amazing. But you have no idea what's going on inside that vehicle. You have no idea what kind of check engine lights are on, or how they're taking care of that vehicle and how they're maintaining it and servicing it. So again, just something to think about. Is just something funny that I thought I would write down and kind of, just relate it to on that one. Here's another little aspect of something I listened to this week. Another mental aspect of things is focus on being your best. Not the best, but focus on being your best. Don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about what races they're doing. Don't worry about what paces they're doing or what their goals are. Focus on yourself, focus on your goals. And this ties into the next part of this, is having realistic expectations. If you think you're going to go from where you are now, some grandiose goal in a 3 to 4 month period, is that really a realistic expectation? That's part of the SMART principles that I talk about. These specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound goals. One of those is realistic expectations. Now, this doesn't mean that we can't get to a certain point of your potential at some point in your training, whether it's a couple seasons from now or a few different blocks of training that we can do. But setting those realistic expectations for where you're at right now in your life, even, my expectations of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to perform had to change a little bit over the years because certain things changed in my life. You could be getting married, you could be having kids, you could be changing jobs, you could be moving. All these random different things that are going to go on are going to change maybe what your expectations are. I mean, I even had one athlete this year who, we worked together for a little bit in the past. They wanted to do their first Ironman this year. Awesome. They reached out well ahead of time. We had a great plan in place. I'm like, if we get the work done, you're a great athlete. You're going to be able to really hit it home. Him and his wife had a baby amongst that a few months before the race. So the expectations of the race day did change a little bit. Did they still become an Ironman? Did they still finish the race? Absolutely. Did they still put in a decent amount of work? Yes, they did. But maybe was it what they thought they were going to do 12 months earlier? Maybe not. But we still, when we talked and prepped and recapped or pre-capped really before the race, is we talked about the expectations. We talked about, this would look a lot different if the training was different and we had different circumstances leading through the training. But this is what we have right now. This is what's going on. This is the work that was put in. And this needs to be our goal on race day. We agreed upon it and he checked the box and he became an Ironman. So again, those realistic expectations, and that's an approach based on everything. Self-audit yourself on your season of life right now, what you have going on. And that could be even for people that are going into these fall races. Like really self-assess these next 8 to 12 weeks that you have that are going to be putting into this marathon training or finishing up your Ironman training. Do you have these big things that are going to come up in your life? Is something on the table where like you may be changing jobs in 4 weeks, or, you just got into a new relationship and that's going to be taking some of the time away from your training? We have to refocus, restructure, get some different expectations. So that's kind of where that goes with that. I get a lot of questions as well now, shifting gears here with bike training as far as indoor versus outdoor. For myself, again, in triathlon training, in that 70.3 build for the year, I like to have at least 3 bike rides a week, 2 midweek rides, and a long weekend ride. My midweek rides are historically almost always done on the trainer in a very specific manner, based off of power, based on incremental gains over that 8, 12, 16 week block of training, whatever we have leading up to the race, depending on the distance. And I like them because they can be very controlled, very specific. You can get very specific work in because you're hitting by power numbers if you have a smart trainer. And with that, indoor versus outdoor, if you want to ride outdoors every day and go do the workout outdoors, absolutely. Even if you don't have a power meter on your bike, if it's a 5 minute by 3 threshold effort out there. You just know those 5-minute efforts, you got to push. You got to haul some ass out there and get a good workout in. If you're on the trainer, you'll have some numbers based off of testing that you can hit. And then as well, another secondary question to all that is this erg mode. Erg mode is great because it will make you do what you need to do. If you have to hit 200 watts for 5 minutes, it's going to make you basically do 200 watts and keep you honest for that 5 minutes. If you're becoming an intermediate level athlete, cyclist on the trainer, and you've been doing this for a while and you want to change things up a little while, you could always take that erg mode off and do your workout. It's going to say hit 200 watts for 5 minutes, and then you're going to manually have to pace yourself at that 200 watts. And this is good. There's pros and cons to both. One of them is if you're having a tough day, sometimes it pushes you to get that 200 watts. And you're like, man, that was a tough workout, but I got it done. I held on for every effort that it said, and I was able to check the box. But on the flip side of that, if you're getting stronger on the bike and your FTP is set and you're hitting these 200 watts, maybe it's restricting you a little bit. Maybe if you had it open-ended where you can kind of push what you think you can do for those 5-minute efforts, you might have been at 205 or 207 average, and you're actually getting a better workout, and we can actually see that you are improving. So you can play around with it a little bit. If you're one of those that's hitting that erg mode, hitting that power workout on the trainer every week, take it off once in a while, especially on the short punchy intervals, and see if the erg mode was pulling you in up to that power, or if the erg mode was restricting you a little bit on that power. The erg mode to me is kind of like a treadmill. A treadmill is very good if you're just way out of control with your pacing and you just don't know how to control yourself. But we do need to learn at some point, because when you go run this race, you're not running on a treadmill. You're not running this half marathon or marathon on a treadmill where you can just set it at 6.5 miles per hour, set it and forget it, and just go run 13.1 miles per hour, 3.1 miles. You need to just know what pacing is. You got to know how it feels. You got to know when we have a pacing plan that says you need to run 9:30 for the next 3 miles, what that needs to feel like. So sometimes it's nice just like that to take the erg mode off and be able to see what you can do. Just like if you like to run on the treadmill, you like to run indoors for most of your training, you got to get outside from time to time. You got to hit the track. You got to hit long distances and be able to pace yourself so you're not doing it for the first time on race day. And to sum it all, we actually hit some stuff on running. We hit some stuff on biking. So let's not neglect the swimming aspect for my triathletes out there. I have a athlete that I've been working with for a little while, and they are kind of like an adult taught swimmer. They're going to private lessons and things like that. And, you know, sometimes I get messages that they're a little disheartened that they think of their swim progress, but I had to remind them that really 15 months ago, they did their first pool triathlon. And then about 12 months ago, they did their first open water sprint triathlon. And then last September, they actually were able to complete 70.3 Jones Beach when we had some wild water conditions. They managed to get through that 1.2 mile swim, get on the bike, hit the run, and finish the race. So you got, again, zooming out, and I have to remind, like, I myself was an adult self-taught swimmer in my mid-30s, and that's kind of even still young. And as you get older, if you're in your 40s or in your 50s and you want to start getting into triathlon, you got to kind of learn how to swim and do freestyle at that age. It is super, super hard. We're talking like you need some one-on-one clinic feedback. Everything is feedback with swimming. And it's not a month you're better, 6 months you're better, or a season you're better. I'm talking like it takes seasons of dedication to see incremental progress in these swims. Once you get past the just being comfortable, calm, and confident showing up at the races. Like for myself, if I do my training leading into a 71.3, I can be calm, cool, and collective out there. And I know that I'm going to get through the swim, and then I'm going to go crush my bike and my run, because those are two very strong things that I have. And I know if I go out there and just push too hard on the swim, or try and push too hard on the swim for this very, very minute, hopefully incremental gain out there, that it may jeopardize a much bigger gain than I'm getting on race day for my bike and my run. So with that being said, another tip, video that I posted tonight in the coaching athlete group here is a video from another coach, which was the differences between pool swimming and open water swimming. Because we have some newer triathletes over the last year or two, which are just hammering these pool swims. And they're getting out in the open water, but they're really trying to fix their form correctly in the pool, which is great. I 100% agree on that. But there are some big key differences between pool swimming and open water swimming, which was talked about in that video. And when I agree with another video that I see or another piece of content, why recreate it? I post it to my athletes and as something that I would be willing to say that in the same sum and substance to them. And a lot of that is certain things that we do in the pool or concepts that are different for open water. Like in the pool, it's all about the most efficient we can be. We have fast and faster swim times that we're trying to hit. We're just trying to really extend, be efficient. I mean, it's such a controlled environment. You can't get any more controlled than a pool with that flat glass water. And it's every little thing that you don't do right will produce drag on you. But you go out there back to like what last year's Jones Beach swim was, or many of the other triathlons I've been in the last couple of years, is most of that goes right out the window once you go in the water and there's chop and there's people all around you. So there is a different technique to surviving an open water swim in a triathlon than there is to just have a good swim workout in the pool. Still very good, still great for your conditioning, still very good for the core basics of being a swimmer, but we do have to work on a lot of this stuff out in the open water and understand the differences in that. So it was a good video. I'll post the link to the video in the description of this YouTube. And I want to know from anybody, especially that, if you're tuning in here, you're not one of my coached athletes. If you're an adult taught swimmer, comment down at the bottom of this video and let me just know your experience of and what age you were when you first started like truly swimming with this freestyle approach to triathlon, and maybe drop a tip and what the biggest benefit you found was. Was it one-on-one lessons? Was it a master swim group? Like, what was the turning point with you and your swimming so that we can pass that information along there? So there we go. Again, just another quick video. I'm already working on some notes for next week because we got a lot of interesting things coming up. Really excited to talk about some of these races coming up for the fall for some of these athletes. But right now, I just want everybody to stay safe, stay healthy, keep bouncing that life 1 mile at a time, and I will catch you all on the next one.